everyone, and welcome back to a brand new vlog and week 2 of Hillary at Oxford. So this morning I have my paleography class, so we're going to be talking about editing and going through our, the first part of our editing activity. So it should be cool to see what everybody else did, if they chose the same kind of edition or not. But then after that I don't have anything, requiredly scheduled. I think there's some talks going on, but I need to double check what they are. So I might go to something like that. I do think I'm gonna work in the English faculty library for a bit because I have a meeting with my supervisor tomorrow. So I want to do some more prep for that, a meeting about my dissertation. So it's kind of trying to get it into gear a little bit more. So yeah, I have that class. And then what do I have after that? Nothing. I'm a bit sick right now. I have a bit of a chest cold, so that's not super fun. I'd kind of thought that it was going away, but I think it just got worse. So that's not great. And if I sound weird, that might be why. I can't tell if I do. It's not that bad. I just have a bit of a cough and my chest feels weird, but it's okay. It'll be fine. So yeah, I'm going to head out to class now. Just my little outfit of the day. This is my sweater from And Other Stories. They have these in so many colors and I love them. And then the skirt is from Bowden, which is obviously super fun, but they have a lot of very colorful stuff, which I appreciate because I feel like it's kind of hard to find super colorful things actually. But this is the only thing I've ever gotten from there. But I was looking on their website and they have a lot of really nice knitwear and stuff, so that's a hot tip, I guess. I won't lie, the geese really freak me out. Hi everybody, so it is Wednesday today. I didn't really film anything yesterday because I woke up and felt more sick. It's just a chest cold kind of thing, which just means that it's kind of a gross cough. But yeah, I had a meeting with my supervisor in the morning, so we just moved it to Teams because I didn't really want to be hacking in her office. So we did that, and then I kind of was I'm just gonna take the day at home, because I think what didn't help, because I felt worse yesterday than I have the last couple days, perhaps because yesterday I did not have my umbrella and I got soaked in the rain and then was kind of wet for a good chunk of the day, so that probably didn't help me. But yeah, today I feel a bit better. I'm still I feel like I sound weird, so you can probably tell, but yeah, I have my paleography class, so I'm gonna go to that because I'm feeling a bit better today. And then I don't know where I'm going to go, if I'm gonna go Pembroke, English faculty, Bodleian, we'll see. I do want to go to a library though and get some stuff done because I did do some readings yesterday, but I was also just resting, so I didn't get a ton of stuff done yesterday, so I'd like to get more of a jump today. So yeah, we'll see. But going to head out now for paleography. Hi guys, so it is later in the day now. I went to the English faculty for my class, but we wound up canceling it because the professor is sick, so that was too bad, but hopefully he feels better soon. And then afterwards, a few of us from class just went and sat together for a little while, and I then went to the old Bodleian Library, which I wasn't there for super long because I was looking for the text in my history class because it is kind of frustrating for these ones because a lot of them are not available online. So then they're only available in specific libraries. Like there's maybe only 1 or 2 places in Oxford where I can access them. And the one that I needed was in the old bod, but it wasn't on the shelf. Like a lot of them are also like read in library only, so I can actually check them out. But yeah, the in library only copy, I couldn't find it, so someone else must have had it and was reading it. So then I went and found the other one in the Radcam. So that's where I was for basically the entire afternoon. Just decided to come back here basically. Yeah, that was it. So what was I reading? I was reading the life of Melania the Younger. So it's a hagiography. It's sort of like a biography of a saint's life. So this one is sort of like looking at the lenses through which you can read it, I guess, is like she was an aristocratic woman who just like really wanted to live chastely. She really wanted to sort of like devote herself to a monastic life. So, but her parents, who are like very fancy people, made her get married. So she was married for a while, had a couple of kids, and then she like convinced her husband as well to live chastely. So then they were like spiritual siblings. And then yeah, she basically like went around building convents and monasteries and giving away all of their money basically. Yeah, so kind of looking at how aristocratic women sort of like their involvement in monastic life and sort of like how they influenced it. So that was quite interesting. And yeah, the kind of theme for this week is saints and families. So like wealthy, well-connected family basically, as well as her husband, and the two of them do kind of live together, and she like really guides him through this like devotional life for a while. So yeah, that was kind of cool. Basically it's set up so that we're reading writings from or about a female saint and then a male saint, and then like all of the critical readings, like stuff by academics about those texts. So yeah, that was interesting. I feel like this one was like slightly less, or I feel like the one that we read last week about especially like the female saint, the one last week was more, there was more like visions. It was, she'd been in prison and then was like executed in the arena. So it was also just like kind of a more dramatic life, I would say. It had, yeah, like a lot of the visions. I feel like it was very physical. Like there are descriptions of her breastfeeding and then not breastfeeding anymore, that kind of stuff. So yeah, interesting stuff though. And basically that's kind of like, I'm reading more history texts, I guess, or I'm going to be reading more history texts right now for my dissertation, because kind of what I talked about with my supervisor yesterday was like what I can do moving forward. She's my supervisor from the history faculty, so she's kind of like giving me recommendations for the historical questions, because one of the things, or one of the big questions for my dissertation is going to be like, how do these romance stories, how do these like medieval romance texts sort of, how do they act as like a historical artifact? Like how do they reflect what people were maybe thinking about at the time in regards to like femininity and female authority, that kind of thing. So some of the things that I'm going to be looking at are about court life at the time, what historians are writing about like how what sort of like real chivalry looked like at the time, because obviously these are like romantic texts about knighthood and all of this stuff. So how did chivalry actually look in practice, or like how important was it really? Like how much did it really guide people's lives? Stuff like that. And then also about like the lives of aristocratic women, because that's what romance texts are concerned with. They're not really concerned with common women, or common like people at all really. So mostly going to be looking at the lives of noble women at the time period and, you know, what that entailed. And what else were we going to talk about? Chivalry, the lives of women, court life. Those were kind of the main things. And then potentially some stuff like the law and women at the time, that kind of thing, if that comes into it and is related. So she gave me a lot of recommendations for texts on that. And then I'm also going to be looking more at like doing just like more close readings of my primary literary sources. So that's something that I would like to talk about more with my advisor from the English faculty. So she'll probably be advising more on the literary subject matter, and those are kind of going to be like my key texts, I guess. So I have some ideas, but I'm trying to decide, I guess, if I want to keep it confined to Arthurian texts or if I want to like read romances outside of, you know, the matter of Arthur and King Arthur's court, because there's just some like really weird ones that I really like and I think would be interesting to talk about. But then it's also like contained within Arthurian literature is kind of nice too. So we'll see. I have like some pairings that I think would work well together. So I'm hoping to talk to her a bit more about that at some point. But yeah, that's been my last couple of days. I've just been like holed up doing readings and everything. Don't really have anything too exciting going on tonight. But I do have some fun stuff in the evenings coming up. So that'll be something. Hi everybody. So it's pretty late in the day now. It's like 3. Yeah, 3. But I've just been at home today. So I had a call with a current PhD student. She's just in her first year now from one of the universities that I applied to. I haven't like gotten admitted there yet or anything. So still waiting to hear on that, but they kind of connected me with a current student to like talk more about the program and the city and if I had any questions. So she was very, very nice and had really good things to say about the program, obviously. I feel like they probably wouldn't connect you with someone who they think is having like a rough time. But yeah, it just told me kind of more about how the department worked, the kind of courses that were on offer for that first year of coursework. And yeah, like, cause she's actually also from the prairies and did her undergrad and MA there, I believe. So kind of like knew both systems, or like came from a similar Canadian education context. That was interesting and very cool to talk to her, and she was very, very nice. Yeah, I haven't really like talked about decisions yet because I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious and I don't want to jinx it. So I probably won't really say anything until I've like got more information on everything so far. Because yeah, I don't, you know, gotta put out the right energy for manifesting it. But today, now that that's done, I'm going to head to the MCR. I have the formal dinner tonight at Merton, the like formal exchange. So I'm going as a social sec, so I'm meeting everyone at Pembroke, but we're not meeting until like 6. However, I'm pretty sure we got our wine order in today, so I have to go like haul it up to the MCR. And I didn't want to like walk there and then walk back, because then I'd just be like running back and forth. So I could have gone like a bit more formal with my dress, I suppose, but I'm just gonna wear this. This is from And Other Stories. Ignore my Harry Potter socks. But one girl wore this to a Pembroke leg of an exchange that we had. So I feel like I generally get a bit like, exchanges are often kind of like smart casual is the dress code. There are a lot of dress codes at Oxford, and I generally go on the fancier end just because it's fun, but I feel this is like definitely acceptable. It's just like dressing like a little bit formal, just not jeans and a hoodie basically. So yeah, I'm very excited to go to Merton. Me and Eloise snuck in there when they did the undergraduate open days in the summer, and their grounds are gorgeous. So, you know, if you're ever here in the summer, you should go to Merton. But yeah, I'm excited to go to their hall. I think their food's supposed to be quite good. So that'll be good. But yeah, I'm gonna head to the MCR and haul up wine now. But, oh, and I'm very like pleased with my makeup. My sister got me this like nice setting spray for Christmas. There I am. And I feel like it just melts everything together and makes it very glowy. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. And my hair doesn't look too crazy, so it's a win-win today. Okay, I've got all the wine up. It only took about 10 million trips. But that's my cardio and weights for the week, so. I've just come back from my Friday day. I had my history class this morning. This is my course on saints and sanctity. So this week we were talking about the life of Melania and then the life of Simeon. So Melania, she wanted to live a monastic life basically. But her parents, she was wealthy, she was an aristocrat. So her parents were like, no, you have to get married. So she got married. She still wanted to. She kept asking her husband if they could, and he was like, no, I want heirs. So they had 2 children, I think, but then they both died. So she convinced her husband to let's live, I think it's continence actually, because apparently, I learned this today, historians will sometimes use chastity sort of like incorrectly, or I guess like in sort of popular speech we use it incorrectly, or it means something different now than it did then, because actually a chaste wife is someone who's like sleeping with her husband regularly. So chastity and like virginity and everything are not necessarily as we mean them now. Like even then you could be a virgin even if you've had sex before. Like if you just like sort of redevote yourself to it. You could still then be considered a virgin. So it's not necessarily like as we interpret it now. So actually the correct sort of terminology for saying, okay, I'm not going to have sex anymore basically, is continence, I believe. I'd have to double check my notes. I think that's correct. And so that's like what she wanted them to live like now. And at first he was like, no, thank you. Why would I do that? That's insane. But then after their children died, he was like, okay, fine. So then they basically go around giving away all their money, and the text keeps saying like, oh, and then they got rid of all of their money. And then they go somewhere else, and she's like, she gave away all of her money again. So it's very much like Melania was so disinterested in money. She wanted to get rid of all her money. She didn't want it, very uninterested in it. But here's how everything she was able to do was like because of her wealth. So this week was kind of like the themes we were talking about, sanctity and family, and also how sort of like the aristocracy's participation like in monasticism basically. And then Simeon was real wild guy. The main thing is that he went and like lived on top of a pillar. I was imagining like a pillar, like he was balancing up there, but that's not what it was. It was like bigger, like a 1-bedroom kind of situation was the joke in class. So he lived up there. He decided he's gonna live on this column and make it everybody else's problem. So that was him. And then it was a very interesting class. And then afterwards I went and we had our research methods workshop for my course, like my medieval studies cohort. And they've divided us up so that we're each presenting about our dissertation at each workshop. So I had to present this week. I was in the first group, and last week when I met with our course convener, I said like, we are at the ideas of ideas stage. Like I don't have that much my approach to the presentation was like, here's what I'm doing and here's what I've been doing to work on it kind of vibe. Not necessarily like a presentation on the topic itself. My presentation was like about the process of my dissertation. So I said, here are the texts I've been trying to decide between, but you know, I have commitment issues, so trying to figure that out. And here are my like key guiding questions and the things that I'm most interested in. And then here are some of the text I've been reading. So like how when I met with my history supervisor, we said like, here are some things I can read to kind of beef up on the historiographical stuff. So went through that, the themes of those things that I've been reading, like how I'm reading on chivalry, why I'm reading on chivalry, what I'm trying to like discover, how I'm trying to be like well-versed in the arguments going on about that, on wealthy women, and on, what was it, women in the law, and then on court culture. I think it went well. It was very chill. 2 other people presented, sound very interesting. And it is kind of like an interesting course because we were talking about like, we're presenting these topics to a group of people who really have like no interest in your specific topic, because everyone is kind of like coming from different disciplines and very different like fields or from very different research interests. But after that, a few of us met that our group for our paleography class went and had coffee to discuss our editing exercise for next week. So we were doing that, and then now I went and I picked up some balloons for this evening because we have our first bop of term at Pembroke. So it's decades themed. I have no idea what I'm going to wear yet. I have like a couple of ideas, but I feel like nothing is very explicitly decades, because it's just like dressed like a time period. But yeah, it should be quite fun. Looking forward to it. And yes, that is the end of my Friday. Okay, so I've gotten ready for the bop and I tried on a billion different outfits without access to my full wardrobe. I'm not able to like go super hard, but I tried on a whole bunch of stuff and then I was like, this is maybe vaguely 70s, because I feel like everything that I have that is more specifically a decade here is like kind of a fancier thing, and like people just don't dress up for Pembroke bobs that much really, so I didn't want to go like in a formal gown. So I don't know if this is particularly 70s, but like it's just what we're going with. Next time is a Valentine's Day bop and I'm gonna be able to slay that, so it's fine. I'm gonna wear my knee-high brown boots. I don't know if those are actually in frame, these, and call it a night. Hello everybody, it's Saturday now. The bop yesterday started off not great. Like, it was a good vibe for me, but for like a bop, it was not good because like no one showed up. It was me, Chloe, the bar managers, and then like a couple other people from committee. But then like it's kind of weird because our bar closes at 11:30 and like everybody who showed up later like showed up at 11. So don't know, but people did eventually show up, so that's good. And it was a nice vibe, so I'm counting it as a success. But today I'm heading to lunch with Chloe and Anika. Yeah, so this is what the outfit, which I've been like, had this outfit in my mind for a few days and I was like, I'm gonna wear it. I can't tell if it looks cool in like a Pinterest kind of way or if it just looks like I'm wearing every item of clothing that I own. And I also think that excessive layering works better on people who don't run hot because I'm hot. And then just for another layer, probably this jacket. And I would wear my boots, but they started lifting at the toe and then I tripped over a rug in the exam schools and now they're like that. But I'd gotten like the soles fixed before and it cost like 10 pounds or maybe a bit less, I can't remember. But I think they just like hadn't done the front. So I knew I was gonna have to get them done again, and now I really need to get them done again, so. But still cheaper than buying new boots, so whatever. Good morning. So it is actually the next day now. I just am wearing the same top. So I'm actually gonna go into London today because even though term is busy now, it's only going to get busier in the next couple of weeks. So I was like, I'm gonna take the chance to get out of Oxford while I can right now. So I'm going to go into London today. I have a list of stuff that I want to do, so I'm just kind of gonna like play it by ear and see what I can get done. But I think to start with, I'm gonna try to go to Highgate Cemetery, which is just this, I think it's Victorian originally. It's just this very like fancy cemetery. They actually like sell tickets and do tours. So there's a lot of people buried there and it's just got like very elaborate architecture. And there's a lot of famous people buried there, I think. The one name that I saw was Karl Marx, so might see some famous graves. And yeah, I think it's just supposed to be a like pretty part of London. It is kind of far away from Paddington and also like everywhere else I wanted to go, but I was like, if I ever go there, that's going to be the case, so like might as well just make the trek out. Gonna just like see what I get up to and bebop around. I'm just going in by myself because everybody's busy, and I was like, then I can just like do what I want and go at my own pace and just like figure out my itinerary as I go. So yeah, I think it should be a fun day. So I'm going to go fill up my water bottle and then head to the train station.
the east side of Highgate Cemetery. I managed to get onto the guided tour on the west side, which I would really recommend because you get so much more detail about like the architecture, the people buried there, and then just little bits about the history. Like depending on the tour guide, we stopped at a gravestone of menageries. He talked a bit about like menageries in England at the time period, and the Victorians being like very obsessed with death, had different mourning practices. So it's just quite cool. The west side is more like hilly, more about the architecture. Then the east side is just kind of flat with a lot of the graves, but it's where a lot of the famous people that we know today are buried, like Karl Marx, so it's quite cool. Oh, and also if you wanted to go into the catacombs, you have to go on the tour, which like they're smaller and everything, but it is like quite a cool thing, so for not much extra, it's like a cool addition. I will say though, Highgate Hill is very aptly named because I feel like I've been climbing uphill all day. It's not my favorite.
So as you can see, I managed to make it back home. I just had a really nice day. I feel like that's the kind of thing, like the cemetery and everything, is the kind of thing that is nice to do alone. It's something that like feels quite comfortable to do alone. Even the tour, I think I was maybe one of the only people that was there alone, but it wasn't like, it's not like, didn't feel awkward to be there alone or anything. And then after that, I walked over to Highgate Woods, which isn't that far. I think Map said it was like a 15-minute walk, which is probably close. Maybe didn't take me quite that long. Which is a really nice, I don't know if it's like technically a park, or I think it said it was like a nature reserve. I'm not sure. But there's supposed to be like a nice cafe there that looks like very magical. So I went over there. And I was gonna get like a coffee or something, but the line was quite long. And then I stood in line for a while and it just wasn't moving. So I was like, I wanna go to Camden Market anyway, I'm just gonna go there to eat. But I saw the cafe, and the cafe was very cute. And all of the drinks and food that walked by me looked nice. So it would probably be pretty good. And that seems like a really nice park or like green space. So yeah, I think that Highgate seems like a really, really nice neighborhood. I think it might be like a rich neighborhood. But it was really nice because it was really quiet. Like there was people out and about, things were busy, but not like jam-packed. Like I walked by a few pubs that there's lots of people sitting there, seemed like a good atmosphere, but like available tables, that kind of vibe. And the streets aren't packed with people. And even the cemetery, like if you go there, I think some of my clips maybe made it seem like there's a lot of people on the path, but that's just because I was there like walking around with the tour. So there's probably like maybe 15 people in that group. Maybe not even that, I'm not sure. But like if you just went and were walking on your own, yeah, there'd be like people about, but it wasn't super busy, which is really nice. that was kind of the vibe when I went over to the East Cemetery, because I don't think they do tours of the East Side. I think it's just kind of like you walk on your own always. So it was like a very nice vibe, but yeah, it costs £10 for an adult to go in. I think I kind of scammed the tickets, but like it was endorsed scamming, so it's fine. Because I went up and from when I was like looking up the place, I think guided tour tickets were a bit more expensive, but I walked up and I like asked for a ticket and she said, oh, did you want to do like a tour? And I asked if there was one leaving soon, and she looked over and she was like, oh, they must have just left because they were just there. So that's too bad because that's how you can get into the catacombs or whatever. And then she said like, oh, maybe if you catch up to them, you could just join them. So she only charged me £10. And like as soon as I walked in to the cemetery, the group was right there, so I just joined them and I did get to see the catacombs, which is the main thing that like you can't access if you're not with the tour. But everywhere else, like you can walk. But I would really recommend doing the tour, especially if you'd never been there before, because you just get so much more information about the architecture. Each tour would be different depending on the guide, because they all would like choose different graves to take you to and everything. Like we saw the Rossetti's grave, so Christina's there, and Elizabeth Siddle. Is it Siddle or Little? Siddle. And Elizabeth Siddle is there, but Dante Gabriel Rossetti isn't. He's buried in Kent, I think. And the story is that Elizabeth Siddle, she's the one who like posed for Ophelia and everything. And apparently when she died, Dante had her buried with a book of poetry. But then later he was broke and he had quite a cutthroat editor who was like, you should publish that book of poetry. And he was like, I can't, it's buried with my wife. And he was like, go get it. But like a policeman and someone else went and dug it up for him and told her, oh, she looked gorgeous, her hair had grown, which isn't true. That doesn't happen when you die, apparently. It just looks longer because like you've receded. But like a nice story to tell him when he was feeling bad. And I don't think that publishing that work helped his financial situation all that much, but he felt very bad about it, and apparently that's why he's buried somewhere else. Or that was the story on the tour. But very cool to see their graves anyway. And then the tour is very cool because you learn a lot about individual gravestones and people that are buried there, but it's also like very connected to the Victorian period and Victorian mourning customs, of course. So like one of the first graves that we went to, it was the one with the sort of monument or sculpture with the chair with the death shroud on it. So that was a 19-year-old woman who died. And we were talking about like the symbolism of the empty chair and the shroud. And then what that like type of grave actually was, which apparently it's like deeper than normal. So it's about like 12 feet deep. And then the idea is that then your family members would be like, you'd stack them as people died. So the idea when she died was that then her husband and people would be buried there. But her husband remarried and he's buried somewhere else with his new wife and kids. So she's there alone. But she's across the path from her in-laws, which is potentially nice, I don't know. But yeah, and then we talked a bit about some of the mourning practices. So I think that that is probably a more well-known one because it's the mourning period that you'd have to go into when a spouse or a loved one dies. But I didn't know all the particulars of what the men's rules were. So like when a woman's husband died, she'd have to go into full mourning. So wear like black crinolines, which is like restrictive, heavy, itchy, uncomfortable, and you couldn't go out for that full year basically because it was seen as like disrespectful, and you definitely couldn't get remarried within that year. I think after that for a period you have to wear like kind of like lilacs grays as you're kind of coming out of full mourning. But men, they can get married whenever. They could get married the next day if they wanted to. They just couldn't get married on the same day as their wife's funeral because that was gauche. The thing that I didn't know is that men just had like a black armband that they had to wear, but they could wear it as they liked. There wasn't really like strict rules for that. But the part that I didn't know is that if a man remarried within the year of his wife's death, the new wife would have to go into full mourning for the former wife. So somehow the guy escapes all of it either way, which is, it's so strange now. But yes, the Victorians were wild. From the videos you can kind of see a lot of the architecture on the west side is it's very like Victorian Gothic. But then there's also quite a bit sort of like inspired by Egyptian architecture and death customs and everything, because they were also obsessed with the Egyptians. Then later in the tour, like this is another bit where they're using sort of the grave there to talk about other aspects of Victorian history. So like there was a person there who was a menagerist. So he ran like a very unregulated early zoo. So he had all of these wild animals and would do terrible things for them, like making lions dogfight and stuff like that. And also more like a regular zoo where they were just on display. But a lot of people getting hurt. So like a lion and a tiger escaped once from this guy's menagerie and killed a woman and a child. But the paper was like, good on him though, because he paid for their funerals. What a stand-up guy. And then I think there was another newspaper article from another incident when they were like touring them, I think, because this woman woke up because she felt a paw on her shoulder, leapt out of bed, called the authorities. A kangaroo had made it into her home and into her bed. And then this guy like paid for the kangaroo's room and board for the night. So interesting, crazy, but yeah. So you get little bits like that you just like wouldn't get if you were just walking around by yourself. And it was a really good tour. I really enjoyed it. And I would recommend doing that. I would even do the tour again if I went again, because you'd get different anecdotes with different tour guides. So that was quite cool. And then it is also nice to walk around on your own, because you can do that in the east side and you can do it in the west side. Yeah, and it was just like a nice day. And then I tried to walk to the cafe, which was nice, but was somewhat of a fail because I did not actually get anything. Then I went to Camden Market. I've seen a lot of videos that are like, Borough Market. Yeah, I remember when I was a tourist, cool people go to Camden Market. So I went and it was much busier there, so I was kind of just overwhelmed by the crowds. And it is like a bit of a trek from Highgate. Like Highgate is far away from Paddington, but I was like, I'm just gonna make it over there. So then I traveled there, then I traveled back to Camden. So by the time I got there, I was pretty tired. And I don't know if I just like missed a part of the market that I didn't see, but it seemed like quite small compared to Borough Market. All the food that's there did look really good, and I got steak and chips, which were really good. So the food is quite good. Would recommend it. It seems like it has more sort of shop style, like places where you can buy stuff rather than food, compared to Borough Market, which is like pretty much all food. So that's like a bit of a difference for that, I guess. And then I was like, I want to go check out some of the Outernet stuff that's going on. So I made it over to Covent Garden, and I had like a weird hot chocolate somewhere. And then I went to the Outernet stuff, which are these sort of like immersive light show things that are free. So they're right near the entrance to the Tottenham Court train. Yeah, I think that's what it is. They're quite cool. There was like a really big line for one, like it wound around the building. And I assumed that was still free entry. I think it's like a new exhibition. So I thought about going in there, but it had already like gotten a bit later. I'd been there for a long time and I was like, I don't know that I really feel like waiting for this. So I just went through a couple of the like smaller areas that they have. So they have the one that like looks like you're underwater in the ocean. And then they have the butterfly light trail, which are both quite cool. I will say, like, I don't know that they warrant a special trip necessarily. It's more like if you happen to be in that area anyway, they are cool to go check out. Like, especially if you're going to that station or something, it is quite cool. So yeah, that was yeah, that was pretty much everything that I did. I ducked into a couple bookshops on the way, but didn't get anything. I had a really nice day. I'm glad that I did that before things get super crazy with term and my assignments and everything. So yeah, just had like a nice time, and I am excellent company, so it was very good. And I definitely recommend checking out Highgate Cemetery. That was quite fun, and I feel like it's not like a hidden spot or anything, but I feel like it's a not super obvious kind of thing to do if you're visiting London, and is very pretty and very cool architecture and cool history. So yeah, but I'm going to shower and get ready for bed and get ready for the school week. So I'm going to say goodbye here. Thanks for watching the video, and I will see you in my next one. I'm very blurry. There you go, I'm gonna add another layer. Feel like I'm going skiing. How does it feel to be on your own? Like a complete unknown.